Locked On Podcast Network presents Locked On Sports Today.
The Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson are not exclusive anymore. Danny Dimes is returning to the New York Giants and got just about what he asked for. And the Jets are courting Aaron Rodgers. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn today to get started. I'm Peter Bukowski, starting your day with the can't-miss stories and biggest debates in sports. You're Locked On Sports Today.
Searching all major sports. Found.
Let's start with the biggest story.
The Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson have been dancing around a potential contract so long that it's become a non-exclusive franchise tag. Non-exclusive, meaning other teams can now negotiate with Jackson and just have to provide 2 first-round picks to the Ravens if they can woo him away. Baltimore can match that contract. Kevin Ostreicher from Locked On Ravens has more on how this relationship became open-ended.
It is a 1-year, $32 million deal, so it's fully guaranteed. And that would allow teams to negotiate with Lamar, and then the Ravens, if Lamar and another team get a job done, so let's say the Falcons agree and they get the job done on a deal, and let's say it's 5 years, $250 fully guaranteed. Then Lamar can go to the Ravens with that offer and say, hey, are you going to match this? And if not, I'm going to leave. And if Lamar leaves, the Ravens get 2 first-round picks. Now, there's a lot of debate as to whether the non-exclusive tag is the right call for the Ravens or the wrong call for the Ravens to make here. I think it's the riskier option, in my opinion. Now, you might be looking at the tag numbers and, 32 non-exclusive, and the exclusive tag is $45 million. And you're thinking, well, that's $13 million in difference. It's a pretty big amount. And I agree with you. But at the same time, there's a risk that a team does give Lamar the deal that he wants. And right now, obviously, the Ravens have not been willing to give the deal to Lamar, the deal Lamar wants. And then if that does happen, maybe Lamar does leave and you only get 2 first-round picks in that situation. Now, to me, and I think to a lot of people, Lamar is worth a lot more than 2 first-round picks in a normal trade. If Lamar were to leave for just 2 first-round picks, I feel like it would be very underwhelming, even if the Ravens got, let's say the 8th overall pick, maybe even the 2nd overall pick, plus another, the Houston 2024 first, that would also feel kind of underwhelming in terms of if you're the Ravens and what you're looking for out of a deal for a franchise at quarterback in Lamar Jackson. 2 first-round picks would probably be a bit underwhelming.
Here's what I don't like about all of this is immediately after the franchise tag announcement came, we got reports that a half a dozen teams, all teams we expected to very much be in the Lamar Jackson sweepstakes if such a sweepstakes began. All these reports said those teams are out, not interested, not even going to take a meeting, not even going to talk to Lamar Jackson about what it would take to bring him in. Why? Why, after Deshaun Watson, amidst all of the issues, legal and civil, that he was facing, horrible, ugly allegations, he gets a slew of draft capital and the biggest guaranteed contract we have ever seen. A contract Steve Bisciotti, the Ravens owner, was appalled by the way. And now is this all just a reaction to that contract, that the owners are standing together and saying, we're not doing this anymore? Sounds like collusion to me, but I'm not a legal expert. This is an ugly situation for the league and for this ownership groups that saw what happened with Deshaun Watson and said, all right, that's not going to happen anymore. And I get that part of it. But now we're talking about a former league MVP in his prime. Someone who has consistently led his team to the postseason when he's been healthy. Who has elevated inferior teammates. And yet, all of these teams are just blind out on Lamar Jackson to prove a point. This is cutting off your nose to spite your face to epic proportions. And the only people stubborn enough, or stupid enough to do it? NFL owners. Stay up to date all year on the Baltimore Ravens by following Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Ravens on YouTube or wherever you get podcasts. Thanks for making Locked On Sports Today your first listen. Coming up, Daniel Jones is staying in New York for a little while longer. Before we get into that, the Buccaneers are continuing their roster purge. The midway point in the NBA season is here, and now is the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Then you can bet on everything from the money line to point scorers and threes drain. Or tonight features an interesting point spread for the Thunder and Suns. The Thunder just got done beating up on the Warriors, but find themselves 13.5-point underdogs to the Suns, according to FanDuel. You can also combine multiple prop bets in one game into a same-game parlay for an even larger payout. So don't miss the chance to get your no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Have you ever searched for something that you didn't want anyone to know you searched for? I mean, I can't imagine what that would have been, but you can think of a rare time that you might want to do that. I know most of you are probably thinking, well, you could use incognito mode, right? Let me tell you something. Incognito mode does not hide your activity, not from everyone. It doesn't matter what mode you use or how many times you clear your browsing history. Your internet service provider can still see every single website you've ever visited. That's why even when I'm at home, I want to make sure I am using ExpressVPN. It doesn't matter who your internet service provider is. ISPs in the US can legally sell your information to ad companies. ExpressVPN is an app that reroutes your internet connection through their secure servers so your ISP can't see the sites you visit. ExpressVPN also keeps all of your information secure by encrypting 100% of your data with the most powerful encryption available. Most of the time, I don't even realize I have ExpressVPN on. It runs seamlessly in the background and is so easy to use. All you have to do is tap one button and you're protected. ExpressVPN is available on all your devices, phones, computers, even your smart TV. So there's no excuse for you not to use it. Protect your online activity today with the VPN rated #1 by Business Insider. Visit my exclusive link, expressvpn.com/locked, and you can get an extra 3 months free on a 1-year package. That's expressvpn.com/locked. expressvpn.com/locked to learn more. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers roster purge continued Tuesday with the team releasing starting left tackle Donovan Smith. The Bucs entered this offseason at $55 million. Yes, $55 million over the salary cap. $35 million of it is going toward recently retired quarterback Tom Brady. And they have to be cap compliant by 4 p.m. East on March 15th when the new league year begins. The Bucs must not only get out of the red, but must address the quarterback situation, as Kyle Trask is the only quarterback on their roster. Kyle Trask, the only quarterback on their roster. It's not great. Smith had the 5th highest cap hit on the Buccaneers. Lots of cost cutting going on in the NFL right now as the Miami Dolphins plan to cut ties with cornerback Byron Jones, according to a report from ESPN. Jones will be designated a post-June 1 cut, which will save the team $13.5 million in 2023. Jones' release is a critical move toward creating cap space for a team currently almost $18 million over the cap, according to Over the Cap. The move comes just 3 years into a 5-year, $82.5 million contract that Jones signed with Miami in 2020. He missed the entire 2022 season after undergoing Achilles surgery last March. And then last month, Jones tweeted that he can't jump or run because of the injuries he had sustained during his career. ESPN's report did say Jones has no plans to retire. On the hardwood, the Knicks' 9-game winning streak is over thanks to... Wait, the Hornets?
New York Knicks fall 112-105 to the Charlotte Hornets. I'm Gavin Shaw here with you on the Locked On Knicks podcast on a night where Julius Randle just absolutely did not have it. Finished this game shooting 5 for 17 from the floor. This felt like a failure by Tom Thibodeau to properly utilize his bench. Obi Toppin only played 13 minutes. And look, Obi didn't really play particularly well, shooting just 1 for 4 from 3. But I'm sure, like many of us, I wonder if in larger minutes he could be used more in the way he was used when he was the National Player of the Year back in college as a rim runner, someone who can be extremely effective around the basket, one of the best leapers and dunkers with a whole lot of speed to boot in the NBA. But Tom Thibodeau didn't go that strategy. He played a clearly gassed Julius Randle a vast majority of the game. RJ Barrett nearly saved the Knicks anyways with a 9 for 13 start, but he made just one of his last 11 shots down the stretch, and the Knicks just didn't have enough after back-to-back barn burners.
And on the ice, the Flames and Wild waited until the shootout to score anything, and Calgary took the shootout.
Jacob Markstrom just had his first shutout of the season against the Minnesota Wild with a 40-plus save night. Hello, everyone, and I'm Jess Belmaster from Locked On Flames, and what a finish that was. Tyler Toffoli comes up big in back-to-back games for the Flames. Jacob Markstrom comes up big for the Flames in back-to-back games. A shootout after an overtime goal was called back for being offside, and oh my goodness, what? You just can't kill this team. You just can't kill them. What an exciting night for the Flames, winning back-to-back games for the first time since December-ish. And I am just elated that, they've just won back-to-back games. They have some pep in their step. They can put some swagger back into it. And here we are. The 2022-23 Flames aren't dead yet.
While a handful of NFL teams were worrying who their quarterback would be in 2023, the New York Giants decided it was going to be Daniel Jones in not just 2023, but for the near future, inking a 4-year, $160 million deal with Daniel Jones and tagging Saquon Barkley on the non-exclusive franchise tender. Joining me now from Locked On Giants, Patricia Traina. And Patricia, this is the outcome that you predicted on this show a couple weeks ago, that they would get a deal done, but probably more money than we expected it to be. Why do you think ultimately the Giants were willing to ante up for Daniel Jones?
Well, with APY, the current deal comes out to about $40 million APY, but I don't believe it's a true $40 million because according to reports, there's actually about $35 million in incentives, which to me suggests that there might be some not likely to be earned incentives, stuff that Daniel will have to achieve in order to, max out the contract. So the Giants probably figured, okay, you know what, we'll go up to 40. And then these incentives will probably just tack onto it. I haven't seen the full breakdown of the contract, but from what I have seen, it looks like it's a very team-friendly contract. I believe there's like $82 million or so guaranteed in the first 2 years. It sounds like even though it's a 4-year deal, it sounds like they can get out of it after 2 years. So, and the cap hit, I believe, is around $19 million,
right,
which is a lot better than what would have been if they had picked up his option year or if they had franchise tagged him. So basically not a bad deal from what I've seen so far. Again, we haven't seen the whole breakdown, but from what has come out, favorable deal, I would say.
Why not make him prove it one more year? Why not say, here's the tag and show us again? And if you do, happy to give you $40 million then.
Good question. I think they're convinced that they can win with him. If they didn't, I don't think they would have gone through this whole knuckle drill, if you will, with him. But that being said, I believe that the way the deal is structured, it is technically a 2-year deal that they can get out of if he goes backwards, if something happens. So it's a vote of confidence, but it's not really a vote of confidence, if you know what I mean, because if it was really a vote of confidence, it would probably be a 5 or 6 year deal. It's just, it's a fair deal for both sides. And I think the feeling in the building is look, he did everything they asked him to do in the first year with Brian Daboll and Mike Kafka, the offensive coordinator. Now they're going to ramp things up a little bit. They're going to hopefully get him some additional talent. And they're going to say, okay, Daniel, we've got you all these fancy new toys. let's see what you can do with that. And if you continue to do well, then they can tear the deal up if he continues to ascend and give him a brand new deal, after a couple of years.
Stay up to date all year on the New York Giants by subscribing to Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Giants on YouTube or wherever you get podcasts. Coming up, the Jets took a big step toward trading Aaron Rodgers. Looking for a delicious treat but don't want all the fat and calories? Of course you are. We all are. All the time. I just want something that tastes good that I don't have to feel guilty about eating, because inevitably I do feel guilty, and I know I shouldn't, but I do. So that's where Built Bar helps me out, because I can eat them guilt-free. They taste amazing. They really, really do. I had the coconut puff today. It was so supremely satisfying because it's so good. The texture, I can't say enough about the texture. That may seem like a weird thing to do, but with protein bars, it is not a weird thing to do because the texture is everything, and Built has nailed it. 100% real chocolate, flavors that run the spectrum: churro, peanut butter, brownie, coconut, almond, and they still hit the macros: 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 17 grams of protein. And now you don't have to wait around to get a box. For years, we've been talking about ordering your Built Bars at Built.com. You can still do that, but now you can get them at your local Walmart or Sam's Club. So you can just do your regular shopping and go grab a 4-bar box of cookies and cream, double chocolate, or coconut puffs. Do it, and you can thank me later. Joining me now, the man who jump-started all of the...
I'm sorry. I apologize. I do apologize.
Who jump-started all of the Aaron Rodgers to New York mania that we got on Tuesday. Trey Wingo is not sorry. I know you, Trey. You are not sorry at all about it. Sorry, not sorry. I want to start here. Let's go back. I saw you at Super Bowl. We chatted, and you said this feels different this time with Aaron Rodgers. Why then did it feel different to you?
I feel like there's more of a willingness for the Packers to move on. To me, like I feel like, last year they were like they felt like they had to do whatever they needed to do to keep him. Back-to-back MVP seasons, number 1 seed, and obviously didn't work out again in the postseason. But it felt like they had all the leverage, right? And that Aaron had all the leverage. And obviously they did whatever they did to sign him, and it cost him Devontae Adams. And I think at this point, it feels to me like the Packers are like, look, whatever, we just need to know. I mean, it's not like, what do we need to do? It's like, you just need to tell us what you want to do so we can figure this out for you and for us.
Yeah, and that is what I think has made some of the last few weeks particularly interesting. Brian Gutekunst at the Combine essentially saying, we'll see, I guess. And that's not something you are used to hearing anyone say about their franchise quarterback. And so it's not a surprise then when you see on your Twitter machine, you pull up a tweet from Trey Wingo saying, oh, the Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets are meeting and having, whatever discussions are taking place that escalated into a private jet to California. Can you just walk us through what you know to where we are right now?
Yeah, listen, and there's not a lot more that I can give you than the bare bones of that tweet. I'm just being honest. All I know is that the Jets have an interest. They've expressed that before. They're continuing to talk. There is progression. The Jets, I think, would like to get this done. But again, this all happened before Lamar Jackson got the non-exclusive tag, right? Like, who knows what the Jets are thinking now? Whoa, hold on. Do we turn around the plane and go find the 26-year-old instead of the 39-year-old? So, I mean, everything is sort of fluid at this point. But I do know that there is mutual interest, and nothing's imminent from what I was told when I put that tweet out. But again, that was 12, 14, 16 hours ago as we're taping this. So things might have changed dramatically over that time frame. All I know is there was nothing up to that point that Aaron Rodgers wasn't liking about what he was hearing.
Well, that is certainly something as we move forward here. What do you make of the Jets being so open about their desire for Aaron Rodgers? Like, this is as naked and on Front Street as I can remember a team openly pining through the media. Of course, you have to do it through the media or it's tampering. Right. Like, what have you made of this, of all of the reports that the Jets are way interested in Aaron Rodgers.
Well, I think if you look at it, the Jets feel like they have a suffocating defense. I think they have, if Breece Hall comes back, and even if Breece Hall doesn't come back till halfway through the season, they have a really good running game. They have a really good young receiver in Garrett Wilson. They feel like they're a steady quarterback play away from potentially being right up there with the Cincinnati Bengals and the Kansas City Chiefs of the AFC.
Stay up to date on the latest in the Aaron Rodgers saga. And what a saga it has already been. We're not even close to being done with this bad boy. By subscribing to Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Packers on YouTube and wherever you get podcasts. And finally, Minnesota wide receiver KJ Osborne was in the right place at the right time. Osborne first revealed the story Monday afternoon in a podcast interview with ESPN's Adam Schefter. The Minnesota Vikings receiver joined 3 other bystanders in rescuing a man from a burning car underneath a freeway overpass Monday morning in Austin, Texas. Osborne, an Uber driver, and 2 other bystanders approached the car as the engine caught fire. Airbags had deployed, and it was difficult to see the driver. The 4 rescuers convinced the man to slide over to the passenger side, according to Osborne, at which point they pulled him out of the car. Osborne said he then carried the man 10 or 15 feet away from the car to safety. Not all heroes wear capes. In this case, they wear purple. Thanks for making Locked On Sports Today your first listen. Now go find your favorite team's Locked On podcast and make them your second listen. Coming up tomorrow, who is in the best position to win the NBA Western Conference? So at least until tomorrow, stay Locked On Sports Today.
Locked On Podcast Network presents Locked On Sports Today.
For more episodes of Locked On Sports Today, go to our video on demand. Click on Sports at the top of your screen. There, you'll find past episodes of Locked On Sports Today, plus other Locked On shows on demand.